Hi, my name is Amarim Sharif, and welcome to Biomedical Sciences. In today's lecture, I'm going to be discussing the chemical context of life. So, biology is an interdisciplinary field, and it is very important that we understand the chemical basis of life. So, in today's lecture, we're going to look at an overview of about the chemical basis of life. So, in the context of biology, if we are talking about chemical, we are actually referring to those elements, compounds that make up an organism. So matter, every living organism is made out of matter. And when you look at that, you understand that every matter has an element or compound that that particular matter becomes unique to. So when the chemical basis of life, we look at biology as an interdisciplinary science. Okay, so that means biology cut across with other sciences like physics and chemistry. So that is all matters or all living things should be able to obey the law of physics and chemistry. And an example of that is this ants you see here. This is Formica rufa using the formic acid from it to scare away those intruding it. So this is a process wherein they use chemical reaction to produce formic acid and they serve as a defense for this organism. So that is one. And when you look at the human context of this, you eat food, and when you eat this food, what happens is that the food you absorb it and then you use oxygen, you use glucose to produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy. That is another law that of transformation. That is another law you have to obey in chemistry. So that is it about the intro to the chemical context of life. All right. So all organisms are composed of matter. That is, matter is anything that has mass and it takes up space. So every living organism is composed of matter, and matter is also composed of several components. And we will dive into these components so that we can understand what make every living organism has the chemical component. So in this point, matter is made of two major components that is broken down into several parts. That is elements and compounds. So matter is made of elements. And when we are speaking of elements, we are discussing about those that actually in abundance within a living organism. So that is, we have about 92 natural occurring elements, and we will talk about some of them shortly. And elements are substances that cannot be broken down by any other chemical reaction. For example, oxygen. Oxygen is an element. Oxygen cannot be broken down into any other chemical reaction or into any other simpler form. And the next thing about matter is compound. So when you have elements, you have to blend these elements together in a fixed ratio. So the bringing of these elements together in a fixed ratio give us what we call compound. So compound is that chemical combination of two or more elements with a fixed ratio. Example of that is water. An example of that could be table salt, in etc. We'll talk about that more. All right. Here is an example of elements and compound. So you have sodium and you have chlorine. So the both of them are elements with unique atoms within each of them. But then, if you want to find a table salt, which is sodium or chloride, then you must be able to combine sodium and chlorine to give you sodium chloride, that is table salt. And salt is a very good component that the body need, because the body needs sodium, the body need chlorine. So in every living organism, more especially the human needs sodium, human needs these elements because they are very essential for the functionality of the organism. Next is we're going to look at elements of life. So these elements of life that form this chemical basis of life, They are about 20 to 25%. And I said previously, we have 92 elements that are very essential. These are elements that are occurring naturally. And among these naturally occurring elements, we human need 25 of these elements that is essential to the human body. And about 17 of these elements are essential to the plants. So among them, there are a few components that are in abundance. That is carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. They are very, very much indeed significant to the human body because they are found in abundance within the human body. So there are components of them. We look at one that is in abundance, and we look at one that is found in a less amount that we refer to as the trace elements. Okay, so yes, tabular formation of it. These are the elements that make up more percentage of the 20 to 25% of the entire chemical basis of a living organism. So we have oxygen, we have carbon, we have hydrogen, we have nitrogen. These are elements that are found in abundance. So the human body cannot produce ATP without the presence of oxygen. So that makes oxygen to be very significant. And we have carbon. Carbon is actually needed in a whole lot of chemical formation within the human body. So there's a reason why most of the organic substances we consume contain carbon. And we have hydrogen that we get hydrogen from water that we absorb in. We need nitrogen within our body. So these are elements that are very significant, and they make up the chemical basis of life. Because without the human is just a continuum of chemical that is functioning gradually to keep us alive. Human, the animals, and that of the plants, these all form of living organism contains some of these elements that are very essential to them. So another component of them is the 3.7%. This 3.7%, they are very, very, very much important. Like calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, and magnesium. These are elements that are very important also. So they are next to the more essential one. They are also essential, but they are in less amount. So for example, we need sodium to keep our heart functioning. We need potassium also in that same point, muscles for muscles to function better. All right, so we need calcium for our bone, our teeth, and other structures in our body to function properly. So these are things that made up the entire chemical environment of a living organism. So another elements that are very important, all of these are 92 naturally occurring elements, are trace elements. Now they are about 0.01%, but they are very important. Why are they important? Because they are used for treatment, they are used to in diagnosis purposes. So if you look at uh iodine, iodine is very significant as it relates to treatment. Where you have a person that have an hyperthyroid gland, this is very important because it will help to reduce that, and it is needed by that particular gland to function properly.